And welcome now to this section of the tutorial. For this section, we go learn about macros and VBA. Wetin be macros? Imagine say you dey work with data entry and you get data to enter every single day. And to enter this data, it dey take you like maybe 2 hours. And you have to enter it every day and it dey affect other tasks wey you suppose do. And because of this, you can't end up staying late in the office. Now where macro come in be that. With macro, you fit automate that work what you want to do. So it go save your time and it go give you more accuracy. So if you do the same task today, will take 2 hours. By tomorrow, if you want to do the same task, you fit just click one button and it go run all that task and it go run them accurately. So basically, wetin we dey use macros for na automation. Just automate anything wey you want make you do. And this automation dey save time and they increase accuracy. So Microsoft Excel macro na set of commands or action that you can record, you can name, save and run as many times as you want. So you fit run that macro as many times as you want them. So once you don't record the set of actions wey you want make you do, even if that set of action na 2 hours, even if it take 100 steps, you fit record them and you fit run them by the click of just a button. And so macros they help increase accuracy and they help save time on repetitive tasks involved in data manipulation and data reports where we need to do frequently. So any data report or data work where we suppose to do frequently with macros, we fit automate them. Visual Basic for application. This one a programming language wey be say na Microsoft develop am. With VBA, Visual Basic for application, you fit create macros to automate repetitive words and data processing function, and you fit generate custom form, graph and report. With VBA sef, you fit edit the macros wey you don create, and we go see example of this as we move forward. It dey function within other Microsoft applications such as Microsoft Access, Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint and Microsoft Outlook. So make we go our spreadsheet, make we see as we fit use macros and Visual Basic for applications. So now our spreadsheet be this. If you look am very well, you go see say e dey blank, na new spreadsheet. Make we see as we fit use macros for inside this workbook. If you look the tabs very well, you go see say we get our normal tabs: file, home, insert, page layout and the rest. So but it get one particular tab wey be say e follow Microsoft Excel come, and na there our macros dey, but e no dey these tabs. So how we fit add that tab? So wetin we fit do na to either come here and search for wetin we want do. Excel get this new feature wey be say e go ask wetin you want do. If you type am inside, e go show you as you go do am. But I no go use this one because I already know where the tab dey. So I go just try go search for the tab. So this customize quick access toolbar, if you click it, you go see some things where we fit use customize our quick access toolbar. But at the bottom you go see more commands. So if you click on more command, you go see some other options. So just go to customize ribbons. Under customize ribbon, you go see some popular commands and the main tabs. So now the tabs where they go. So if you look at now, our main tabs with this, our home tab, insert tab, page layout, formulas and so on. And all of them they ticked inside these boxes. But we get one where no they ticked. Now the developer tab be that. So and now inside this developer tab, now here our macros day. So we go just tick the developer tab and we go click OK, and our developer tab go appear. So now our developer tab be this. So let's go and check out our developer tab. So under our developer tab, we get some other items. So we have the code, add-ins, controls, XML. For the purpose of this tutorial, we go just deal with this code. So under code, we have Visual Basic, macros, record macro, use relative referencing, and we have macro security. Let's start with record macro. So don't forget, say during our introduction, we talk say you fit record any activity where you want in Excel. After you don't record them, if you just just do the activity all over again by the click of a button. So if you put your mouse over this record macro, see wetin e talk. It say each of the command you perform will be saved into the macro so that you can play them back again. So let's say you want enter maybe for your company, maybe you get the sales record. Let's type sales record. So and and for every day you guys prepare the sales record, and maybe the company talk say, okay, format this sales record, make the fill color, make it be, let's say, yellow, and we change the font to maybe Times New Roman. Okay, so you see so we don't do like maybe 2 or 3 formatting to this. Now we change the fill color and we change them to Times New Roman. So if we do maybe any other formatting, so make we assume say that the company format be this, and every day we have to create this in a particular sheet. So I'll try simplify them for us. For some it might be 10 actions, 20 actions, but here we just have maybe 2 or 3 actions. This action we will perform, we fit use macro record them, and so we go automate them next time we want perform this action on another sheet. So make we just quickly go back and see as we fit do that. Make I delete this one. We could go back. Okay, so we have a blank sheet. So now if we want to use our macro to record this particular action or this particular command we will just carry out now, if we just click on our developer tab, and then if we come to record macro. So if we click on record macro, we go ask us some questions. Say wetin be the macro name. So because I don't have one macro there before, it don't bring a macro name called macro 2. So but make I just change them to sales record format. So if you notice I don't put any space, and that one because say macro name no dey accept space. And then our shortcut key, I will fit assign shortcut to this macro. So instead of going to the macro, we go just press our shortcut key and it go work for the macro. It go run the particular macro. In Microsoft Office, many shortcuts they carry the control sign. So for instance, Control Z now do, Control S now save, and so many other control. So if you don't want to make this our shortcut key override some of the shortcuts we don't do Microsoft Office, we will just add shift to the control key. So now we add shift, and let's say Control Shift F. Okay, now make we click here, Control Shift F. So this way, instead of Control F, we will just say Control Shift F. So we don't say anytime we will press Control Shift F, it go run the particular macro we want. Make I just delete this F. No be here it's supposed to be. And then so we don't enter our macro name, our shortcut key. So they ask us is store macro in. So the default place where we will store our macro na this workbook. But we get other places where we will store them, like a new workbook and a personal macro workbook. So the difference between this one basically be say if we store our macro in this workbook, we go fit use them across this particular workbook. So we go fit use them for, so if you open another sheet, we go fit use them this particular macro we want store for inside that sheet, but only for inside this workbook. And if we send this particular workbook to maybe let's say a co-worker, then they go fit use the macro where we don't store inside the workbook. But if we want use but the thing we say we no go fit use this macro inside another workbook. So if we close this workbook and we open another workbook, we no go fit use this macro inside that workbook. But if we want use our macro inside that workbook, we go save to personal macro workbook. So now the difference between them be that. So for the purpose of this tutorial, make I just save them inside this workbook, and then for our description, we fit just enter description. It is optional, but if we enter any description, we go describe the macro we want save. So but for me, I go leave them blank and I go press OK. So when we press OK, our macro don't start to the record. So you see e don start to dey record. So anything wey we do now, our macro go record am. So make we just quickly enter the sales record format for the company. So let's say sales. Okay, oh, na mistake be that. So this one where I don't do, the macro go record am. It go record that mistake. So I suppose first click on this. So now I don't click on them. So after I don't click on them like this, the macro don't record. So I don't click on them. The earlier mistake we'll make, no worry about that one. I go tell us as we fit edit macros as we continue for this course. So if we enter our sales record, okay, so now our sales record be this. Let's say maybe we want change them to Times New Roman. If we just come here, change them to Times New Roman. Okay, and we fit use our fill color, maybe yellow. Okay, so now our fill color with this. So maybe now this particular format the company want them. So as we don't finish this one now, we just go to our developer and then we go just stop recording. So our macro done dey recorded. So if you want to know if you don't dey recorded, make we go another sheet. So now new sheet be this. So I fit come the cell where I want make the macros dey, and I fit enter the shortcut wey we use when we dey save our macros, or I fit just come macros. You see I get two macros here already. So I maybe just click the one we will just save now, sales record format. So if you run them, if you step into edit, delete, we fit check other options. Because they see some of these options as we progress for this tutorial. So but for now, let's just run the macros. So if you click run, so you see it did very similar to our previous page. So sales record. So now so we fit use macros. Now so we fit save macros, and now so we fit use them automate our work. So apart from recording macros, another option there for us, use relative referencing. So don't forget wetin we don't do about referencing, our absolute referencing, our relative referencing, and mixed referencing. So let's say we have 2 and 3 inside this, and then maybe we say okay, the result of this is this times this, and then we'll press okay. And then let's say we get like 1, 3, 5, 6. So if we autofill this, it could use relative referencing, calculate them, don't forget. But if we block this, don't forget if you use F4, but I prefer to use them like this. If you block them, it not go give you results with the relative. It will give you just this particular absolute result. So make we use our autofill handler to check them. So now, so we will use our relative and absolute referencing just to refresh our memory. So here too, we will use relative references. So make we take an example. Okay, now so we have our tables here, and so we won't use macros to do some automation. We have our menu, our price, quantity, and total. We don't use this table before earlier in the tutorial, so if we remember, so it would be easier for us. So make we just quickly see everything we do. So our price times quantity will give us the total. So make we just quickly do is equal to price, then times the quantity, and then enter. So now in this, so if we drag them down, it will give us our answer. So but now make we use macro to automate them. So because this one they work with relative referencing, not be absolute referencing, so we go click use relative referencing. As we don't click on it, don't highlight them, and so after we don't click on, we just go to record macro. So this one will be macro 3. Let's call this one total sales, and then let's use shortcut A. Let's say Control Shift A, and then make we store them in this workbook, and okay, so we don't start the record. So if we just say is equal to, make we enter the same formula where we entered the other time, and then press enter, and then stop recording. So make we also untick this one. So you see so if we use the autofill handler, it go carry them down. So here too, if we do the same thing, we go just go our macros, total sales, and then we go run them. You see automatically without entering anything, and it will give us our answer. So now, so if we use macro to automate our data. Now, before we go into VBA, maybe just quickly check something. If you don't use macro for inside your spreadsheet and you want to save your file, it is very important to make you save them as macro enabled workbook. So for instance, make we check. If I want to save them on my desktop, instead of Excel workbook, I will just come save them as Excel macro enabled workbook. So if I click on, you see I will just click save. So very important. If you save them as a normal Excel workbook, your macros no go work on them. So it is very important make you save them as Excel macro enabled workbook or .xlsm. So we'll go back to our work. We talk about how we fit edit some of the macros that we don't do. So make we just see as we fit edit them. So we don't talk before about how we fit edit our macros or modify our macros, and that brings us to VBA, Visual Basic Application. So if we click on, it will open a new window for us. So now our VBA windows be this. So right here at the left corner, you can see our project. Now our project panel be this. You can see all the spreadsheets we don't use. See them. And then down here now our properties panel be this, the property of our sheets. And then up here you see we have our file, edit, view, insert, debug, run, and so on. If you come this project panel, you go see something where they call modules. If you click on module 1, for instance, you see something they very familiar with this, and the thing we did very familiar, and I say if you look at very well now, our macros be this. We get 3 macros. This is the first macros, the second macro, sales record format, and the third macros, total sales. So every single activity or command we will perform, our macros record them, and as a recorder, it don't return them for us. So now lines of code. So every single activity we will perform for Excel now line of code. And so that line we fit just edit them. Any line we will not want to fit come out. So now waiting we fit use VBA for be this. So now here our macro starts to record them, and you see sub sales record format. Now the name of our macro be this, and then now here he end the sub. Now here he stopped the recorder. So you go see some of them they in green and they start with an apostrophe. It means say this one's not comment. This one's not comment, but all these ones we know, and you see say they start with an apostrophe and now green color. So it means say this one's not comment. But all these ones we know start with an apostrophe. Now the lines of code. The keyboard shortcut will create F day here, Control Shift F, and here Control Shift A. Make we use macro record another particular function. Make we see as it go work. Okay, so make we just come here and record another macro. Make we record another macro. So if you just click on record macro, make we call this one date format. I'm not going to put any shortcut key now, and I go save them here. And so let's just press OK. So we don't start the record. So make I just click here and put a date. Date. And then down here we just say 2/12/21. So now our date with this, and then here we just edit them to a particular format we want. So make I just click on. So I want to make the format be I choose one format. Let's say, okay, like say I like this format. So 12 February 21. So I will just click OK. So I don't change the format, and then make I go stop my recording. Alright, so now maybe go our Visual Basic. It don't record another macro, another set of codes. So the first thing, besides select the cell D17, I entered a date. I typed date, then I select the cell D18, and then I entered a particular date, and then for inside that cell D18 again, I selected the number format, and so now the number format where I select with this, and so it ends up. So if you get a particular maybe line of code where you don't want, if you just change them. So now what thing will they use VBA for? But another thing where if you use VBA to do, we say maybe maybe you get long set of codes. If you just find what be the issue with the code, you fit debug the code. So make we just come here, you go see debug for this. So for inside debug, we get a particular option where then they call step into. So if you click on step into, they go over the code one by one to see if any issue there your code. So maybe if you click on again and click on step into, you see you don't go to the next one. Step into. So and as you do it they reflect for inside Excel. As you click on step into, it they exhibit the actions where you don't save one after the other until you get to the place where the error day. So now some of the things where we use VBA do be this. We also use VBA enter sets of code where we say they go run particular functions for us for inside Microsoft Excel. So other things where we use VBA do, we say we just use and tell the computer to initiate an action or string of actions. So we just type codes or give them some set of instructions, and it will give us the desired result for inside Excel. So we're not going to go past this one for inside this tutorial. I thank you and I say you stick to the end of the tutorial. I go see you for inside the next tutorial.